بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, is pleased with His slaves. He's pleased with His slaves for their patience. He's pleased with His slaves that worship Him and Him alone. He's pleased with His slaves who do good and who are pure, and pure in their body and in their deeds and in their mind and in their soul. And in this regard, as is mentioned in a hadith, I wanted to share a hadith, the hadith of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. وعن سعد بن أبي وقاص رضي الله عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: إن الله يحب العبد التقي الغني الخفي. رواه مسلم وأحمد. In this hadith narration on the Prophet ﷺ that was narrated by Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, who was a companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he said that he heard the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam say that verily Allah loves the slave or the servant, meaning the one who worships him, that is a taqi, that is the one who fears him, meaning that this individual fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by being obedient to Him, staying away from those things He has prohibited, and enjoining those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. This is a taqi. Al-ghaniya. This is the person that is self-sufficient in their self, meaning that they have their hearts, they are content. They are content with just being a servant of Allah the Almighty. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned al-khafiyya. This is the person who does not like to mix with the people, who doesn't mix and is always caught up around a lot of other people, but instead that they spend most of their time worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is where they find their pleasure, and not in being open and being necessarily someone who is so outgoing, but rather being the person who is reserved and spends their time in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the things we derive from this hadith is it shows us the benefit of not necessarily always mixing with the people. To sometimes kind of distance oneself in order to reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, and in order to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to devote your time to worshiping your Lord. And also what we derive from this hadith is the importance of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of having those traits of taqwa, having the trait of God-fearfulness. That we should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we should fear falling into sin, and sin is those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates and dislikes, and worship is those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. So we should, the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to strive to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay away from the sinfulness, and to do those things which He Azza wa Jal has commanded. And also this hadith, it shows us the importance of just being a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is one of the best attributes that a person can have, is that they actually spend their time worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trying to avoid fitna and chaos and tribulations and discord between the people. That this is the person the person who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person who is a khafi, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described as an individual, as a characteristic that we should strive to have, that we should strive to not indulge every time we hear backbiting or the latest gossip or the latest trend, to not always engage in that, but rather reserve ourselves and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in fact that'll be our success. It's not going to be into how much fitna that we involve ourselves in, or how many affairs of other people that we know about and how we broadcast that information, but rather our success will come from having those characteristics that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. Because as he mentioned in the beginning of the hadith, Inna Allah yuhibbul abd. He said, verily Allah loves the slave that is fearful of him, by doing righteousness, staying away from sin, and he is self-sufficient, he or she is self-sufficient, especially in their heart they have contentness, and that they are a person who avoids mixing excessively with the people when there's no benefit. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this good and forgive the evil, and anything I said that was good and correct was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything I said that was incorrect was from myself and the shaitan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.